Hello everybody, welcome back to my little channel, Our Daily Little Chaos. I'm Morgan, and this is the video I'm going to sit down and kind of talk to you about how I got started in an in-home daycare. A little backstory: I am a nurse, and at the time I was working in the nursing field. I was kind of getting burnt out, and having an in-home daycare was always something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to stay home with my kids one day, and it's just always been a dream of mine, but I never thought that I would ever foresee it happening. And in 2023, I left nursing to work at home in the billing department for the same hospital that I was working in as a nurse. And I did that for a few months, and then I found out I was pregnant, and I knew there was no way I'd be able to be answering phones for 10 hours a day with a newborn at home. And daycare just wasn't something that we could afford, and heck, still to this day, I don't think we could afford daycare. So opening my own in-home daycare kind of came to be what I'm doing now, 3 years later. In June and July of 2023, I looked up the rules and regulations and what I needed to do to open a daycare in my state, and it's super easy. I know a lot of states are different, but where I live, I have not had any issues. I found it very simple. The only thing that took the longest amount of time was my fingerprints and background checks, and those took a few weeks. And so what I did in the meantime, I did not feel comfortable watching other people's children in my home unlicensed. Now, again, in my state where I live, unlicensed daycares can operate with, I think, 3 kids. I still don't feel comfortable doing that, so I wanted to be fully licensed before I took in any children. I made kind of like a wait list. I went on local Facebook groups in my city. I was just kind of putting myself out there and my credentials and setting up interviews and tours, and I had a few, everybody that toured and interviewed with me ended up enrolling with me, and I had them for a good 1.5 to 2 years, and then they aged out, going to kindergarten and everything else. And that's just part of the job. And that's the one part that nobody really told me about, was that kids age out and they go to school, and you're gonna have to say goodbye. And I mean, we spend 50+ hours a week with these kids, and you get very attached. At least I do. And I have a huge heart for these kiddos, and I love them so much. So when I have to say goodbye to them, it definitely hurts, but I'm so happy to see them going to school, and I still have like their parents on Facebook groups, and I get to see them grow up. I started out with 3 families, and each of those families were a sibling. So I had 6 kiddos, and then I ended up having my own child. Ended up taking care of 7 kids within like the first 6 months of me being open, which is pretty much full. I'm pretty full at that number. I loved it. It was super easy to get your license. You just contact the state, and they assign you a licensor or license. Most of them have been licensed ladies. I just call them my license lady because I've had 3 license ladies now in 3 years. They just keep changing. But then they come to your home, they view your rooms, they view your house, they make sure everything is safe, make sure everything is attached to the walls that could fall on kids, make sure you have outlet covers on things. You have to have a fire inspection, so the fire marshal does come, takes a look at all your carbon monoxides, your carbon monoxide detectors, your fire detectors. You have to have fire extinguishers on every level of your home, and they have to be a specific fire extinguisher. You also have to get them serviced every single year, which it's like $25, not even. I'm very type A, so give me that checklist and I will do what you need me to do. I will check it off and have you come check my house out, and we can get our license going. And that's exactly what we did. It took a few weeks. Like I said, fingerprints and background checks took the longest time, just because they get put into the database and make sure that you are okay. Also, when you have more than one person living in the home, everybody above 18 years of age has to have fingerprints and background. So my husband had to get his done too, so we waited on his. All of my parents were super accommodating. I always touched base with them, just letting them know, hey, I just reached out to the state. They're still processing. They're looking at such and such date for me to get my license, and we can start arriving. And so as soon as that happened, I opened my doors. I think it was August 2023. I still work Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30. Absolutely love it. I have recently decided to close Fridays. So starting in August of this year, I will only be open Monday through Thursday. And that is just my preference and what I want for my daycare and what I need. My daughter's getting older, and there's things that I want to do with her that I can't do all the time. And so she also needs that one-on-one intentional time. And I'm gonna have a 3-year-old next year, which is so crazy. But so that is kind of the gist of what I did to start my daycare. When it comes to your daycare, it is your daycare. I am a huge people pleaser, and for the longest time, I let families walk all over me. And that was my own fault. And 3 years later, I have learned to put my foot down for pretty much everything. In the beginning, I think I had a 7-page handbook, and now I have an 18-page handbook. Everything mostly in my handbook is things that I've learned from families that I've dealt with in the past, and I'm not going to deal with that anymore. There's a lot of things in there I wish I would have put in the beginning, but things happen, and you really take this occupation, having an in-home daycare, you take it day by day. You can't stress about the future. The only thing I would stress about the future is when you have kids aging out. So make sure you have a wait list and keep that wait list up to date, so when such and such family decides that they're giving you your month notice, you can start opening your doors for interviews and tours and get people lined up, and so you can always be full or be at the capacity that you want to be. So make sure you're always taking a look at your state's like your kid ratio to provider to make sure you're staying within those numbers. I started out with 7 daycare kids in the beginning. I can have 7, and then you can have 2 additional that are school age. I think it's 5 years old and above. I could take up to 9 kids, and just last year I decided to apply for the group license. So that's a point-based system, so each age of a child is so many points. That's great, but when you have infants take up the most amount of your points, so you don't get as many children to take care of. I have actually moved away from taking care of infants now. I do anything 12 months and above, and it's just a lot easier. I used to always take the 3 infants that I could have, and then all the other spots were 2 years old and up. I'm slowly moving away from babies. They're a lot of work, and we can't do the things that we wanted to do, like go on walks and go to the park and have water play and that kind of thing. Also, in my state, any of my own kids under the age of 12 count in my numbers. So my daughter, she takes up 1 daycare spot. The next part that I want to discuss is like my handbook. So I did mention I have about 18 pages in my handbook, and that's solely for my sanity, for my daycare, for my business. It keeps everything in line. It answers every question a parent possibly ever needs. Also, I'm a people pleaser, and I love all of my families so dearly, and as long as they have open communication with me, I am more than happy to answer any questions or help them. But I've had some troublesome families in the past, so it's just what you deal with, and it's what you come with doing this job. Not everybody is going to be a good fit for your daycare, so you need to remember that. But also remember that everybody is replaceable, and so if you need to let go of a family, you can let go of them. So back to my handbook, I do include that I can terminate any family at any time if they are not a good fit. If the child is not a good fit, if the child shows aggression or is aggressive to any other children, I can terminate at any time. I start my handbooks off with, I got Duke and Luna. I start my handbook off with my services that I provide. So I provide services Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5:30. Those are my hours. If I do have under there, I have the late payments for the tuition. I also have late pickup fees and early drop-off fees as well. Most times, if a parent is stuck in traffic and they're running just a few minutes behind, I just ask, please communicate that with me, and I'm more than accommodating. There are some times when I do have things going on after work, so prompt pickup needs to happen. I'm usually pretty open with that with my parents, so don't mind Duke. He is a nut. payments are due Friday for the following week. I send out invoices through my Daycare app on Thursday nights, so they have until 5:30 Friday to pay. A lot of my parents just pay early. I want to touch on my illness policies. So this I have a zero tolerance for. I have a 2-year-old daughter of my own, and germs run rampant in daycares. So if your child comes to daycare and we call it dope and drop. So if you give your kid Tylenol before drop off and a few hours later they're acting like the medicine is wearing off, I know exactly what you did this morning, and that is in my contract that I do not allow dope and drop. If you lie to me, that is terms for immediate termination. And I have just finally made the rule that there is absolutely no Tylenol in my daycare. I'm not giving Tylenol. They need to be able to participate in daycare activities, and if they can't do that comfortably, if they are sick, they need to go home, because I have a full house of kids and we are busy from the time that they come in to the time that they leave. And when I have one kid that's sick, it just takes a toll on everybody. That's zero tolerance. I also have vomiting, diarrhea, and fever. So usually during the regular, like not the spike sick season, I usually go 100.4 for a fever and above. They need to go home. They need to stay home for 24 full hours after the last occurrence of fever. So if they had a fever at 3 o'clock here, they need to be picked up. They can't come back till technically 3 p.m. the next day. But if they have a fever anywhere between the middle of the night, it's another 24 hours. During spike sick season, I put it at 99.0. Anything at 99.0 degrees Fahrenheit and above, they're going home again for 24 hours. Diarrhea, vomiting, one occurrence in daycare, and they go home 24 hours till the last occurrence. Medications, they have to be off of them for 24 full hours. Other things I put in my contract, make sure you put your days off that you want, holidays that you want off. I put everything in there. I use a daycare app as well, so I put in the calendar all the holidays I have off for the whole year. I always know what I'm taking off. I also allow myself 2 weeks paid vacation. I can take 1 week in the beginning of the year. I can take 1 week at the end of the year. I can space that out if I want to. I can take a bulk 2 weeks if I want. So this year I'm taking it over Christmas break. I'm taking 2 weeks off. I am changing my hours to Monday through Thursday. I used to be Monday through Friday. I dropped my PTO days. So I used to have 15 PTO days that I could use for appointments, sick leave, training days, days off, whatever. I've moved it down to 8 days now because all my appointments a majority of my appointments that I can schedule can be on a Friday. Damage to your property I know kids are hard on toys, and I don't ever expect parents to replace toys, but anything to my house structure, my carpet, my flooring, like my walls, things like that. I've had kids tear my carpet up from the threads, so that happens. That's in there, like stuff to my structure of my home if it gets damaged by a child intentionally. Potty training. I do not initiate potty training. That has to start at home, and when the parent is comfortable with wanting me to incorporate into our daycare day, they'll just let me know. If the child is in underwear, they need to be fully potty trained. If they have an accident at my house or at their home, they will be put in pull-ups in my daycare for 2 full weeks, 10 days, 10 daycare days. That might be stupid to some people, but I'm not doing underwear and having urine all over my house. Majority of my house has rugs or carpet where we play, and if they do have an accident, I send the professional cleaning invoice to the family, and they are in charge of paying that. It has to be paid before the child comes back to daycare. That's the same with like my couches, upholstery, anything like that. If there's urine on it from their child having an accident or feces, professionally cleaned, and that's that. They pay for it. I put in there outside play. We go outside if the weather's permitting. If it's too cold or too hot, we're not going out. It's miserable for everybody. I put in there, I provide water. Also, I have them bring swim diapers, swimsuit for water play. Another thing I had to add in here because of a family was communication policy for my work and my life, like a good balance. I don't want to be reminded about daycare on my days off, when it's after daycare hours and things like that. I have enough on my plate. I put in there that if it's an emergency, you can text me. I will reply at the earliest convenience that I can. Other than that, anything besides that, message me through our daycare app. I have a phone for daycare and I have a personal phone. I have given my new daycare number to all my daycare families. They can text that if they want, and they can message through the daycare app if they want. At 5:30 after daycare, I shut this phone off. I don't know how many times my phone goes off on a weekend, on a Sunday morning, at 5, 6 in the morning during the weekdays. I don't open till 7:30. About just very odd questions that just really don't need to be asked. So that is why we have this now. And it feels so good. It feels so good to just have a phone that is dedicated for work. Also, it is 100% tax write-off. So now also I have implemented a drop-off cut-off time. 9:30 a.m. I don't allow anybody else to come back. Unless you have an appointment and you're going and you're coming back, I understand that. But if you don't want to drop your kid off till later on in the morning or whatever, I'm sorry. We have done breakfast, we do our morning art, we sit down, we play a little bit, and then we are usually outside to the park. The mornings is when it's the coolest temperature here where we live in the summer. We utilize the morning time, and this last few weeks has been so nice. It's been cool, not hot. We go on walks, we go to the park, we do all these things. So we're not sitting here, and I am not going to deprive my other daycare children to wait for another family to come whenever they please. So now 9:30, my door is locked, it is shut. I'm sorry. I have to do that. Usually in the winter, I don't really care so much because we really don't go outside in the winter. But summertime, we're on a walk, we're doing things. We're not usually ever home. Now, starting in August, we're going to do more of a preschool curriculum. Now, June, we have been working on a preschool curriculum. I make the lesson plan for the full month, and it's more fun. I have 2-year-olds, so their attention span is very short. It's very limited. So doing fun things like we read a book, we sing a song, we do something like sensory based, we do an art or like a craft. And so, and then at the end of the week, I have a file folder with everybody's name on it. Parents can take their things and bring them home. So last week we did healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, cops, and mailmen. And this week we're doing beach play. So it's been like summery things. So fruit and the beach and seashells. I only do that Monday through Thursday. Right now I am open till Fridays until August. And then Fridays is just free play. The kids only can retain so much information at this time, and they're not really even learning stuff. It's mostly just fun. But come this fall, we're going to kind of buckle down more. My light died. We're going to buckle down more, and that's why I'm implementing more of a drop-off time, because I need the kids to kind of sit, concentrate, and we're going to have more of a schedule and a structure. So that will be a lot of fun. Right now I'm doing a lot of research on what's the best preschool curriculum. I want to buy it by the month, and then they ship you all these different types of all your supplies that you need. So I know that was kind of a lot of information, but that's kind of the gist of how to start an in-home daycare. And like I said, every state is different. There are different rules and regulations for every state, so make sure you just check your local childcare websites. Usually it's your state childcare.org or something of those lines. If this is something you want to do, it's been great for me. And I love it. I'm able to stay home with my baby, and yeah, if you guys would like to, just like and subscribe, I would absolutely love your support, and thank you for watching.